It is Monday, the 3rd of December 2018. I have just arrived at the Gateshead Civic Centre for a meeting of the Corporate Resources Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Almost got it right first time. And I'm Deputy Chairman of this committee, and one of the things that we look at is the voluntary sector and how Gateshead can help the voluntary sector take on often some of the functions that Gateshead was previously doing but no longer has the money to do itself. And we're having an evidence gathering session today where some of the organisations from the voluntary sector are coming in to talk to us about what the work they do is. And one of those organisations is the Comfrey Project. The speaker is going to be Jo Price. Now, Jo, I know, she's a friend of mine, and we have done food swaps in the past with her. A few years ago we swapped lamb for pork because she keeps sheep. So the pig that we bought a few years ago, we did a swap for some of the meat. And last year she paid me a lamb to take her 3 lambs to slaughter. So we get on obviously quite well, know each other very well, so I'm just wondering whether there's actually going to be any food swaps available today. But she is coming in today to talk about the Comfrey project and the recent expansion of that project. 3-hour meeting now over, and in that time the sun has really come out, which is unusual for the past few days because it's been tipping it down all the time. Anyway, we have had quite a useful meeting, good presentation by Jo Price, and she talked us through quite a few things which about the development of the charity and their work, and also about how they went through a bit of a crisis point a year or so ago, but they've recovered from that and they're moving on. So I quizzed her about what sort of advice she's able to get and who from, and certainly it seems as though the council is actually providing a lot of advice to voluntary organisations which would only otherwise be available through the Newcastle Council for Voluntary Service, which is already contracted by Gateshead to deal with these things. Anyway, so it's important to keep the advice going, or else these local organisations won't know how to deal with many of the issues that they are facing, and could cause them to close. Other things on the agenda, well, there was a look at the reduction in the carbon footprint in Gateshead over the past 10 years or so. So I asked the question, because they were given some very good figures for Gateshead, but I challenged them on whether what the baseline was, because it's all very well if the council reduces its carbon footprint by actually just transferring buildings out of its portfolio, then all you've done is transfer the carbon print to somebody else, the carbon footprint to somebody else, which is not the best way of dealing it, because you achieve nothing, and that was the point I made. So I was given some assurances that there has been a genuine reduction in the use or the size of the carbon footprint, drop in energy use as well, particularly on the lampposts, because they've all been replaced by LEDs, which are much more fuel efficient. But the director did say that they'll change the way the report is presented next time round, so it gives a much fairer view of the figures from the basis of the baseline back in 2008, I think was the baseline. Anyway, the meeting went on for ages, and I am now going to pop home to get some lunch, and then I've got to come back because I've got 2 more meetings this afternoon, and the first one is at, just look at the time, it's 1:45 now, the next one is at 2 o'clock, so I'm going to have a brief lunch before coming back. It is now 1:45, and I'm heading back to the Civic Centre, and I've got a meeting at 2 o'clock, which is to look at the results of a research project carried out for the council about the impact of the rollout of universal credit in the borough. And then at 3:30 I've got a meeting with the director of who deals with the sort of environmental issues, and with sort of like waste collection and disposal and so on. So that's at 3:30, and then at some point I've got to get my iPad sorted because they're migrating me over to some other form which is no doubt going to be excessively different from what I've been used to, and I'm the last member to get my iPad sorted because I've clung on to it for far too long. Busy afternoon. Afternoon meetings are now over. The first one about the universal credit, the survey that had been done. Interesting survey, quite useful information, but the one drawback with it was that they only interviewed 33 claimants, so those who are sort of detracting from the survey are just pointing to the fact that it's actually a very small number of people who were surveyed, but it did show that there's significant problems with the way it's being implemented. Not that you ever get a benefit system in this country that is ever able to be implemented with ease. It's just fraught with problems. And then we had our ward meeting with the director of who deals with sort of street cleaning and waste disposal and so on, and the inevitable issue of the trees came up because we have a large number of trees in our ward, but very few are being cut these days or managed, simply because there's no longer the money there for it. So we looked at ways about that, but also at street cleaning and street lighting as well. So all done. It's final meeting of the day. Well, not quite meeting, but what's happened is that you may recall last month at the History Society meeting we had a slight problem with the projector, so I had to improvise for an hour and talk our way through local history, and we don't want to do that a second time, so we've been here to test the equipment, and sadly we are unable to get it to work, so we have a plan B for tomorrow's meeting, which is to bring another projector. Fortunately one is available to us, so tomorrow the show goes on, but not quite with the equipment that we originally had planned, but at least we got it checked and therefore didn't have to throw together a plan B at the last minute.